Hi, hello, and welcome to an episode of Space Engineers Building. This will either be one or two episodes, depending on how long it is. My idea here is essentially an orbiting fueling stop with a couple landing pads and a docking arm for bigger ships. Essentially a space gas station, pretty much. I don't want to go too big on this, so going to start off pretty small here with a little building, and then I'll build a couple pads off it. Let's get the base here. Not really going to focus too much on the shape of this part right now, so I want to get the overall shape of the station down first. I'll come back later for detailing. So something around that size, probably for a main area. It'll probably actually be a bit longer because of the pads. So I want to put two pads here next to each other. Let's bring them out 5 blocks, make them 5 wide too. So that'll make the actual station itself a bit bigger, but that'll be fine. Round off the end a bit. I'll add some railings or something to it afterwards. Okay, I don't like exactly how rounded it is, so let's try this. Make it a bit more angled but still rounded. Right, I'm liking that. So I want to extend this out past by like 2 blocks. I'm not going to have the entire thing be symmetrical. Right, so I want to bring this up another block there, and then bring it in. So this center tube section will be the main area of it, I think. So that's the center of it. Now I'll turn off symmetry. So on this side I want to build out a docking arm for larger ships. Of course I'll add just a little extension section here that could maybe host a control area possibly. I'm not exactly sure what I want the interior of this to look like. Just keep it entirely with the half blocks here. And build it back into. And then the docking arm out from it. I'll use some oxygen generator for the decoration leading out here. And then some of the industrial pipes. Put a sorter here, which I'll hook up to some supports. And then a conveyor, connector at the end. So for this, I'm going to try the idea of this with beam blocks. Right, I think I want to exchange that for this, but it's looking good. Again, this is still very much in a prototype stage. Nothing about this is quite finalized. I want to have an area of some hydrogen tanks hanging down off of it, so can do that in this section, I think. So I'll bring out the industrial hydrogen tanks here. them back to back like this. I like that look, but I don't think it works where they are exactly. Let's try moving them back out this way onto that line there. Right, that looks better to me. It expands down a bit, but this part is going to be as well. First off, need a connector in the pads. So I'll add a pad or a connector to each of these. Then I can just use the armored conveyors to bring it back so I don't have to have any down below. Picking 4 supports, I'll re-enable symmetry here. I'll add these. And it can go into a lower structure here, the main station. And just to make it look a bit thicker and more sturdy, I'll put these in under here. It will also cover up the conveyor section. Right, now to bring this down. So I'll start bringing it down on here. To kind of have it be in 2 little sections here. One here which will go down a decent bit and house the communication array. And another more minor structure over here. Not really overly experienced with station building, so I'm kind of making this up as I go along, but that's kind of the fun in it as well. So I'll bring that up into here. I'm liking that. So I want to bring this down at least 1 more before I bring it in narrower. Extend this part out here to make it look like a radiator section if I paint that with some retro future. And I'll round off the edges here slightly. Make it look a bit less harsh. Now let's bring this down a bit more. And go ahead and remove the floor here. I may not use any of this area, but I'd rather have it open. Now to bring this down a bit further. Try and slope it in a bit using these transition blocks. And I'm intentionally trying to make it a bit as asymmetrical as I can, really, as I think that really adds some of the charm to stations. These are feeling too disconnected, so I'll remove some of this radiator part here and connect them in. I'm not sure exactly what I think of that, but I'll leave it sit for now. This, I'm gonna bring it in a bit on the side. And then little extrusion back here. Just add a bit more character to it. Not sure quite what purpose that would serve, but it's something that can be thought about later whenever I get to the lore of it. Add in this here and make this a little heat vent area. I think that would work. Ooh, right, the new exhaust cap block would actually work really nicely here. And I can make this pipe works. Should also fit in really nicely. And add a bit more detail to this area without overdoing it. Make sure I have it the same on both sides. Alright. Now that's looking better. Down here needs something though. So I'll just add a little bit of random detailing. Let's do some neon tubes here, look like some type of piping. Similar to like the AC units and things you see on top of buildings occasionally. Also add some of these access panel blocks for a bit more detail. Still a bit flat, so I want to add something on this side. Can add some of the pillars with the blinking light on top of it. For the trusses here. You want something else to go here. So I can put one of the action relays, I think. Then I think a rotor head on top of it would also fit it quite well. Alright. Start grinding down the rotor head as that looks a bit much currently. It's a bit better. Okay. I'll add some railings in this section and turn off the lights so we can see a bit better. Add some type of detail here, but I'm not exactly sure what, so I'll come back to this section later. This, I'll go ahead and turn this in here, which will be at the top of the little tower here. I think I'll do this layer and the beam blocks here to make it stand out a bit. Put some old interior walls behind it too. And I can put some offset armor panels here. And connect them back. Now I'll add a popper antenna down here at the bottom of it. And let's see how that looks. It's looking quite nice so far. Some parts like this don't look the most detailed, but that's stuff I can come back to later. For this section, I want to try getting 2 hydrogen engines in here, as I think they could serve well for detailing. I think if I cover the tops here with panels, that would work. But I don't see any good way to do that, so I'll try something else here. I could just use a couple blast doors, that would be the easier method. And I'll put the interior walls here as before. And since I don't like how flat this is here, I'll put a piston head. And that's this part of the underside mostly done. Don't want to forget to cap these off though. Now over here, I'm thinking this wasn't part of the initial plan. I'm thinking I can have a little lounge section or something similar over here. Take a look at these windows. I think I can do something with them for it. I'm not liking it with those, but I think I might actually be able to possibly walk around windows into this. Because round blocks always add a nice bit of contrast to things that you don't see otherwise. I think it would work really well on a civilian station such as this. And I'll have it overhang here a little bit just to add some more shape. Have that meet there. Right. I'm not really a fan of it right now, but I think it does have promise. I think one thing is this section here is not meeting up, so although it'll look a bit worse for the inside, I'll do that. It's already making it better in my opinion. I'll do similar down here with the half blocks. Make the little overhang here at the bottom look smaller. I think I may like that more actually. Let me try that at the top. Yeah, I think I'll stick with what I had. I think it worked better at first. Alright. While I'm here, I'll also do the airlocks. They're pretty standard here for me, so I'll add a couple of these on the side. And then I'll just add an offset door in the center. Kind of liking the idea of adding a little overhang to this section here. Make it feel a bit sheltered in. Okay. I quite like that. So let's keep it. Now for railings, I don't want to go too extreme here, but I do want to add some railings along it. Right, these panels are getting in the way. I just realized I put them on in a bit of a stupid way, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And put them on the inside like that, which is a bit better for the placement of these. Now add a half railing at the end. I think that will work. I kind of feel like this end needs something here, so I'll add a little ladder just for some detail. Now there were some new blocks added with the update for floors here, so let's check them out too. I think I can make use of these. Right, I think that might be all I'll do with these here. Try and find just a flat one. And then use that to run it back just to keep it a bit more consistent. Still can add some detail in though. Alright, I think these work very nicely here. First time I was using them, but I am quite happy with them. Right, I'm gonna put the observation area on hold and actually remove it for now. I'm not liking it currently, but I'll come back to the idea once I've actually finished the main area of the station here a bit more. So one idea I had here is a central window using these. And then this would probably be something like these inside, although I will have to wait until I do the actual interior. So I do want to have a decent bit of visibility to the outside from in here. It's not military, so it doesn't need to be locked down or anything. This section I'll fill in a little bit back here and cover that up. I think I want to try and add a bit of a bigger pad back here, and also I can expand the main structure of the station a bit. So I can add a bit more to the shape of it. And also give me an area to place a control tower of sorts, as I think that would be quite helpful on a station like this. Okay, so thought here is I can bring this bottom part out further here and make it intentionally like a little cargo dock or habitation for workers or something along those lines. So I think I will do that. Intentionally want this part to look a bit smaller than the actual top though. Kind of round that corner off a bit. And I need to get this finished off here. Which should be pretty simple. I think I'll put one of the small 2x2 gates in here. Could be for maybe a little walk shuttle or something along those lines. And then the rest of the area can be the little cargo bay like I suggested. Don't want it to be entirely as wide as it was, so I'll use some piston heads here for the main structure. Going to extend out a little platform here for use by walkers when like loading or lining it up. And I'm quite happy with how that's looking down there. Definitely sticks out a bit, but I think it will walk in a lot better once the rest of this area is done. So I'll do this here and have this be another half-block wall, so that I can use some windows on it. Or some of the half windows, which I think makes building a lot easier for stuff like this. And use a couple of these to look like little supports to the part that'll be going above here. This will actually leave this station with quite a bit of open interior room for its size. Here I'll try and bring it up a bit and end this section around here. Add a transition block there. But I think that'll make a decent end here. To have this part intentionally be something a bit further out, and I'll try and add a bit more layers here. Add a small layer here maybe that just juts out a bit farther than the rest, just by a block. Wraps around part way before it comes back in. Right. I'm liking that idea there so far. Thinking on this side here, we'll have this come out a bit further and then just meet up with it over here. I always get a bit wild when it comes to these complicated structures on builds like this. I think to integrate this a bit better, I'll do this, and then I can use a couple of these blocks here. Will help it look a bit more supported and integrated with the rest. And I'll do similar down here with some transition blocks and more half blocks. Right, with this, I'm gonna bring it further over then to continue with the little idea I had. I think I'll just bring it all the way out over here. It looked odd just being the two blocks there. It's looking better. Now just for the actual top here. So I have this section here be the base of the little ATC tower-like thing. I'm going to use the very similar design to what I've done on a planetary build before for this. As I see no reason to change the design that already works and would already exist in lore, so it won't look out of place. And I do want to have some of this be built up a bit more, so I'll have some come out a bit like this. Something like this amount of it. And the rest will either be flat or half. Sides like this, I'll add some piston heads to thicken it up a bit. This could be a perfect place for like a LCD with a nameplate for the station. If I can come up with some type of logo or something to fit it. And we'll do a similar thing with the neon tubes here that I did down below. That's most of the station structure here done. I need to finish this section and then the end. Looking back here, I'll add a bit of a larger landing pad for ships that still can land but aren't small enough to fit on that. See, let's go with 9 long and have the length be along with the station here. So bring it out like this. Make it a bit narrower here by the station and have it expand out on the pad itself. Use some of the round blocks for that. And then, same as before, put a connector here in the middle. And I'll readjust symmetry to this and work on the floor pieces. Let's make use of these with the lines a bit here. This can just be normal, and then the conveyor will run in. Yeah, I'm happy with that for a bit of a larger pad. Do need to cover up the underside here, though. I'll make it a little bit wider than the underside of the other one, because it's a bigger pad. Make it look a bit more thick and supported, I guess. Liking the idea of putting something like this here in the middle, just for some extra detail. And then I'll do something similar to the ladders over here, just for a bit extra. The piston heads, old type, next to them. And to finish it off, some railings. Thinking this extends out a bit too far, so I'm gonna change it for that. But I think we'll fit it a bit better. And then I'll just end the railing off there, probably. I'll bring it out here, halfway out, same as I did on the other. That should be able to support a decent variety of ships here. And I also need the entryway here. And the little archway of it. Right. Now the last thing will be finishing off the end, and then detailing. So for this, I think I'll start off by just kind of curling it around here, and make use of some round blocks too. I'm not liking the round blocks there, I'll turn them just to normal slopes. And I'll bring this out a bit. I think just repeating that on the other side would actually look quite good for this. Just keep it simple, no reason to overcomplicate it. Looks a bit more keen-styled than I'd normally do, but I think it kind of fits the theme of this station. And then just have to add in that for that block there. So I should put it in here. So it'd fit better. I think I forgot about this angled part down below when I was making that part. Let's add a bit more down here to make it look a little fuller. Right, I want to add something up here, but that will depend on the interior. Right, so now we have the last section over here to do, which I'll just keep pretty simple. I want to keep it looking a bit more industrial, I think, because it's more close to the fuel processing area. Don't want this to look like an area that actually is inhabitable. I'll extend these out here, and then shorten it into these around the little radiator pieces. That doesn't quite line up. I think I'll do the other option of just taking a couple armor panels, putting them here, and grinding them down, as it should create a pretty similar look. And then just this last section here. Mostly for this, I'm going to go a bit wider just on this entire area. So I'm going to change this here and have that reach all the way out. And try and extend that section there. So that should help fill in this block, make the build look a bit more full. A lot of this station is built off of 90-degree angles, so you can use this to add a bit more of an angled section that isn't at a 90. Add some visual distinction to it. That it actually matches up perfectly with that part there, which works out nicely. Have this section out just slightly farther, though. And have it intentionally different than this section back here. Just add some more variety and layers to it. And I'll change this here. I think that works pretty good with that. I'd love to put one of these in here if this section could be filled, but unfortunately that isn't possible in SE1. So I think with that, I will leave off the station build here for today. So thank you for watching, and part 2 with coloring in the interior should come pretty soon. So see you, and bye.